It's a well-known fact that middle-class America was built on the entire idea of home ownership being an allegory for building your own impenetrable base and towering fortress. However, as another generation gets further from this house-obtaining fantasy, we have to move into the realm of imagination. Luckily, the Steam Base Builder Fest has come to deliver on that fantasy, and even though it's already ended, I compiled the best upcoming games to fulfill your fortress constructing aspirations. If you like the giant flying and fighting bird creatures over the endless seas of the Falconer, this latest follow-up has you zooming even further into the skies and building up on those rocky fortresses you once assaulted on wings of fury. Bulwark Falconer Chronicles puts you in control of this classy blimp that can dramatically swoop around darkened oceans, pooping out little boxes that contain the seeds of civilization for you to nourish into cities. Once you've set up your outpost and navigated this strange UI that's permanently stuck to structures or your blumpy builder, you can sprout towers and connect them with these terrifying cliff-hugging walkways. Then you can build woodmills on these giant ocean mushrooms and quarries on some rocks that are apparently more useful than all the other rocks, allowing you to build towers higher and stronger than ever. With these mighty phallic masterworks in place, you'll be able to encircle them with broad terraces upon which your denizens can make their perilous homes on seaside cliffs with narrow walkways above jagged rocks definitely not covered in slippery salt spray. There aren't any resource limitations or objectives in this pre-alpha build, or really any limitations at all, but sometime in the future era of coming soon, this will be a game to look out for. If you're looking for something coming a little sooner, the Last Starship makes its way into early access as soon as February. From the makers of Prison Architect, this time you'll be taking the prison into space, except instead of a prison, it's a spaceship. But it's not really a spaceship, it's more of a space container of all the things you need to make a spaceship, and it's up to you to put it all together. Plop down the engines, reactor, fuel pumps, life support, and connect it all with the appropriate pipes and wires, hopefully in a way that makes it a spaceship and not a space shit. Then you're ready to take off and travel the system doing all those generic space things you've come to know and love, like collecting cargo and people and moving them from one place to another. But now when you've completed your generic space work, you can spend the money to outfit your ship with more fancy toys that hopefully you know how to use and don't put in a stupid place where they can't do anything. You'll even get guns you can use to chase down pirates and live out your space dreams of getting your ass kicked straight into the void. But if you want to transition over to kicking some ass yourself, you might want to check out Castle of Alchemists. Here you'll take on the role of a magically mutated monstrosity as you set out to defend a castle from an onslaught of mysterious portal-traveling invaders, perhaps from somewhere in the Orient, because that's still a thing in this land. Much like your typical tower defense game, you'll have tools like towers, floor spikes, and saw blades to place on the predicted paths of these swarms for them to relentlessly plow into. But you'll also have the Doomslayer-esque power of kicking their asses personally with giant melee and ranged weapons, as well as dynamic traps like landmines and jugs of fiery juices. You're not really building a base here though, it's mostly just decorating a series of hallways with various discomfort exhibits like a museum of gruesome accidents. But you do unlock parts of the castle as you progress through the levels, each revealing a special artisan that can help you by crafting and upgrading your murder decorations. If you aren't seeking so much violence and want to get some real building in, you could always swing into Pile Up. In this game, you'll have the surprising task of piling things up as high as you can while building an entire economic system in this microcosm. It seems easy at first to simply slap these boxes on top of one another, but soon you'll have to appease your residents with extravagant luxuries like electricity, heat, and even water. But as with all lavish delights, these are extremely volatile and can cause devastating destruction, like when you get gas and electricity near one another and the whole thing explodes in a fiery ball of death. Even a simple water tower will leak a deluge of disappointment to an adjacent box of happiness and leave it so wet it collapses in on itself. But when you do establish a delicate balance of stacked boxes and elevate yourself into the clouds, you won't even have time to think about all the people you've sacrificed trapped in the middle of this massive pile of random buildings. But there is an option to take on base building with a little more stability, and that's with SteamWorld Build. The next iteration in the SteamWorld Robomatic universe after SteamWorld Dig, SteamWorld Heist, SteamWorld Dig 2, and SteamWorld Quest has you venturing back into the desert robot world in what seems like a pretty generic city builder. You'll make houses, set up those robo-amenities, get supply chains going, and poke some tumbleweeds for free resources just like you've done 1,000 times before. But when you finally get enough resources flowing to unlock the mine, the game busts wide open as you cram yourself into this cramped underground world. Now you'll be sending your minions to dig through the dirt and rock with that classic dungeon keeper magic, finding jewels and carving a whole new prospering world under the crumbling rocks of potential doom. You'll also have to continue maintaining the boring city above to manufacture better tools and machines so you can venture back into the depths and delve too greedily and too deep and awaken something in the darkness. One thing I have awoken, however, is my appreciation of building bases of all varieties, big and small, dangerous and pleasant, into the heights and deep underground. If you found yourself ready to settle down and build your own monument to comfort and self-preservation, let me know what game you thought looked best, even if it wasn't a game on this list. And if you'd like to see more hot takes, warm satire, and tepid commentary about video games, make sure to like this video and check out my other abbreviated reviews.